So it's important to make sure you mix up enough paint for your sky, because you don't want to run out halfway through. We were only doing little sample pieces last week, so we need to make sure we mix up plenty of paint. And again, check the strength either on some scrap paper from last week or the corner. So I've wet my paper, and I'm going to, this time I'm going to paint around, leaving some space for the clouds. I can go over my stones in the foreground, because those will be darker than the sky. So wash your brush, dry it off, and then just soften some of these clouds. Okay, so we've not got any hard edges. So that's the first thing. So when you've decided what you're going to put onto your picture, your triptych, put your sky on. You might want to do a flat sky, you might want to do a wet into wet sky, and lift it. As long as we've not got any hard edges. And just go down, this is where my sky will finish, and then I'll let that dry. So while that is drying, you can see, so what you're going to put in. So that wants to go all the way across. Yes, the whole bit. Forget about the masking tape for the moment. Just do your, remember how we did the trees last week? So you don't really need to draw them out. Just a suggestion of where it is. Remember we did last week with the foliage and put the trunk on afterwards. So are you okay, having watched the video, to go in and straight away with it, or do you need to do some test pieces first?
Probably need to do some test pieces.
Right, okay. So
because beyond here I'm not sure. But
if you wanted to just, with another sheet of paper, just then practice your washes. Just like we've done just there. But wetting the paper and painting around it. Right, so what are you going to put in yours?
Just putting the sky in now.
Put the sky in, yeah, deciding what's in green. Is it going to be trees? Is it going to be rocks? So put the... Oh right, okay. References. Think about how we did things last week. We didn't do any drawing, did we? So if you're doing lots of trees, you just sort of need to know approximately where the trees are. If you're going to put a fence in, you put that approximately where that fence is going to be. If you're going to put some stones in, put those in.
What if the blue spiders are marked what we have in our brains?
What, sorry?
What if the blue spiders are marked what we have in our brains? Do we still need to do it or just a breath?
What do you mean, match what's in your brain?
Because you said that we were doing like drawings which connect to each other.
Yeah.
These two look like they connect to each other, so I thought, oh, I was going to manage them together, but then the blue spiders are...
Well, they're just like references. It's like a bit of a news board. So that things that you like, things that we did last week, trees and rocks and techniques that we use to help you plan out. of paint mixed up for your sky. Alright?
A little bit of orange contra. Lighter.
You're an expert at this.
Yes. Nice big brush, plenty paint mixed up. Wet your paper and then paint around your clouds. And go back in with your paintbrush, making sure you wet it each, wash it, dry it, and lift down. There's just a kind of reference sheet here. If you're going to put a fence in, it's nice to do it leading in. It sort of leads you into the picture. Or actually just a little bit of it going off the picture is quite nice. But if we have it sort of going in, it helps to lead the eye into the picture. So make sure you tilt your board up when you're doing your sky and you're working across the whole of the sheet. In fact, Rob, you've worn the perfect t-shirt. That was on purpose, wasn't it? You wore a triptych t-shirt. Right, a bit pale.
Yeah, I'm going to copy this.
Right, okay. Right, okay then. So, lots of paint we need to be mixed up with that. Quite hard hands there.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that looks fine. Yeah, so you can use some of the techniques. That looks a bit of a big expand. Is that where the tree is? Just put a bit of blue, because then, if you remember when we did, well, not so much of that, we did need a little bit of space. Just put some blue into there that will be coming through.
I didn't know if it'd make it really dark. It'd be alright.
The sky's quite pale, so most of the colours we put on top will be stronger. So even though we're dividing it into three, we are doing it as one sort of whole picture. And then we'll reveal it at the end when we take the tape off, and then we have three nice pictures. We have a triptych. So it takes a while to dry, and we can put some greenery onto our land now. I think most of you have got some land in, hopefully. So my fence is going to be lighter, my fence is going to be darker than the landscape. The stones are going to be darker, so again I don't need to worry too much about painting over things. And I'm going to use my sponge as well to get some texture into the greenery. So I'm going to start off with, all my yellows always end up dirty, so I'm going to put some yellow down, which is turning out green, and that's okay. Again, lots of nice strong colour. We're only working on little sample pieces last week, so I'm going to drop some dark green in. sponge. It's a bit wet at the moment. Going with a blue, but I have to leave that a little bit to dry. Remember to mix up enough paint. You don't want to run out halfway through whatever it is doing. Watercolour, so it doesn't matter. It can dry on your palette and you can reuse it. Run out, you've got blue paint. Yeah, so we used, you watched the video, so we used the brush to lift out.
Yeah.
So either do what we did the flat wash onto dry paper.
Yeah.
You can see that? Yeah. And then the other two washes we did onto wet paper.
I didn't see all of that.
Right, so onto the wet paper, because that's dried quite, that's sort of been rubbed out a bit now. So you then want to just go over that
Yeah.
to wet it all, and then you have to lift out a little bit with the brush. So when you lift out, wash your brush, dry it, and then lift out. How are we doing? You all okay? Yeah, good. Try and get your yellow, your grass a bit lighter in the distance, stronger in the foreground. So I'm going to wait for this to dry a bit before I go back in with my sponge and add a little bit of detail. So we're using a different techniques that we looked at last week. You've all kept your bit of cling film. Don't tell me you've thrown it away. Oh. I'm going to use cling film on my stones. I just went in, no I didn't wet it, I just went in with quite a wet wash of colour. So I went in with the yellow and then went in with a slightly darker green. And while it's wet it all merges, so it's the wet and wet like we used last week. And I was going to sponge a bit on here, but it's a bit wet at the moment. Now when I do my stones, I want a nice crisp outline, so I want to make sure that everything is dry around them before I do my cling film stones. That's sometimes why it's quite good to have two things on the go, or if there's anything from last week that you just want to have a try at before going in to your picture. You may want to just have a bit of a practice of a tree. You can even do, things on the back of the paper that we used last week. Now it's all nice and dry. Right, what are we doing? Have you got a nice big brush?
No, that's as big as it
Brush.
gets. That's a good question.
It's under there. Right, try it. it on your tissue. Have that in one hand. Just rubbing that. Just lift out some sort of slightly. It's not much is moving, but maybe a little bit. Just wash it and dry it. Dry brush. Dry it, yeah. Go in with water and just push heat. So. And think about what we did last week, sponges, salt, cling film.
We wanted to do different things on each step.
No.
Still not right.
Still, as a whole, you might have a tree that goes over half and half. It might just be in the one section. It might cut across. Think of it as a whole picture, but then it will be divided into those 3 sections at the end. Right, doing okay? Yeah. Sponging, we used sponging last week, which gives you a nice sort of textural feel. It's a bit wet, mine's still a bit wet. Dab it and get that bit of more into your
That's fine, I like 3 weeks behind me.
Yes, yeah. If it's a bit wet, it won't show up. So you can go in with your greens, or you can go in with your floral colours. Oops, that's a bit dark. Rather just being a plain grassy mound, we can have some detail in the foreground, which is always quite nice. I've got my fence going across there as well. And what sort of flowers do you get in woodlands? What colours? White, in sort of like, woodland and blue. What shall I put in? What colour shall I use then? I can't put snowdrops in because they're white.
Do red and purple, because red is complementary colour of green and purple is complementary colour of yellow.
Oh, it's not good, isn't it? I've got a bit up here, and I've got one natural sponge, and I've got the ones from last week, the chopped up ones as well. Yeah. So let's get a bit of. You don't want to put too much colour in, but just a nice little dab to suggest some wildflowers. It's up to you. We need to try and use some of the techniques rather than just sticking to using a paintbrush. It's nice if you use some of the techniques that we did last week. But as things go away from us, they get smaller, so we're not going to see big blobs of colour in the distance. tree last week?
Yeah.
We got the foliage down first, didn't we?
Yeah.
Don't you look? Is that your tree there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so look at your monkey tree. You've gone back to the branches. We've got the foliage down first, and then we've got the branches in, and obviously the branches don't come through. Yeah, that looks better now, so
Yeah.
that looks alright. Yeah? So what we're going to have, you've got your mood board here,
Yeah.
trees, stones, fence. Don't do something that sort of cuts across it, do it so it leads you in more.
Okay.
It could be lots of trees.
I'm just copying this.
Yeah. So now I think we need a bit of greenery in it, green. So go down with, again, you can use your flat brush if you want to. So a yellowy background. So I did started off with yellow and then went in with darker green. So I didn't wet it, but it was nice wet wash that I put on, and then went in with the dark green, so it blended. So it's sort of like the wet into wet. So these are about dry now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some colour onto my stones, and then I'm going to go in with the cling film. So remember, we didn't go in with just browns and greys and ochres. We used different colours last week, remember, from our test pieces. So again, don't go for just like browns. I have got these drawn out, so I'm going to... Oh, cling film? Yeah, have you not saved your cling film?
Is that the bottom of the bag?
I don't know. You used it to wrap your sandwiches up in. So, I'm going to put down yellow ochre first of all. That will give me the shape of the stone. Go in with, we'll put some bit of pink into that, like a magenta. So this just made everything look a little bit more interesting than just using browns. Into there. Cling film onto these. And then we'll just leave those, let those dry. did a tree last week. If it's an is it a green tree or is it an autumn tree? So we went in with our ochres, then our burnt siennas, then our burnt umbers. If it was an autumn one, if it's a summer tree, it's going to be like yellows and your sap greens, hookers greens, some blue into there. One right behind you, Rob. The roll right behind you.
What's that?
Oh. Oh. This is quite a summery type of picture, so I'm going to do a green tree rather than a autumn tree like we did last week. So again, remember how we did it. You've got your reference pictures on your sheet and what you did last week. So we'll go in with some yellow first of all. Don't forget we painted the foliage first and then we added the branches and the trunk afterwards. Thinking about the type of tree as well, if it's this sort of quite a big foliage on the tree, it's going to have a shortish trunk or branches coming down quite a long way. If it's more slender and thin, then you'll have more trunk. So I'll put down the yellow. Oh, I could do with a palish blue on top. Leaving some bits of the sky coming through like we did last week as well. So again, it's the wet into wet, so it'll mix and merge to create other colours. I'm going to go in with a darker green. Just dabbing with the paintbrush like last week. bit to dry before we go in with the trunk. And then I've got my fence here that I was going to put in. So it could be a wall. We would do it as a dry stone wall if we wanted. So straight things, flat brushes are always good for straight things. Mapping out where it's going to go first of all. It's all going to be a bit wobbly. It gets smaller as it goes away from you and lighter in colour. We go in with a bit of pencil crayon on those afterwards. I used our rigger, if you remember last week, for our branches. And our rigger brush is good for doing long, thin lines. Tree branches in, but you won't see them coming through the foliage in some areas. Putting what we did last week into practice. I think it's easy to do these exercises and then you just revert back to doing things like everything with a paintbrush. If you feel like you need a bit of a practice with something, then just have a practice on the back of last week's work or in the corner, just to help you get it in your head how you want to do it. And then went in with some green into the branches of the trunk. Still a bit wet, but there'll be lots of foliage on this, so you won't see that many little twiggy branches at the end. Perhaps you would with an autumn tree. brush for that. You can use other mediums as well. Sometimes if you go a bit heavy and you think, oh, I'm too dark or I missed out a highlight, we can go back in with pastel or gouache or pencil crayons. So I'm going to put some foliage. It's nice to have some foliage in the foreground with all these sort of flowers that we've got. These wildflowers. They've gone a little bit pale, so I might just go back in with those. Clinker. Yep. You don't have to go into, apparently they don't use it in the kitchen anymore.